The extensive public engagement and transparency that Arlington is very proud of in its processes. And the county's Director of Communications and Public Engagement has presented a new civic engagement on capital projects to the board. What would you say are the key elements? And let's talk a little bit about this plan.
I think making clear what are the steps in the engagement process, because and we had some discussion about this, because a lot of times, no matter what we do, somebody goes, you didn't tell us, or you're hiding this information. And there's often confusion about what's really going on. So there were 4 steps that you put out. So first is to communicate, and that's what we do a lot. That is, so for example, if there are potholes in your street and they're getting filled, you get a flyer, you get something that's saying, we're going to fill these potholes. And that's the extent really of the engagement. We don't need to have a whole process to decide whether or not we're going to repair the streets. But after that, then you have, and I'm just check my notes, make sure I get it right, consult. So that's to keep the community informed and reach out and get some information back, but not all that much. The next one is to really involve people and bring them together. And that is again a higher step, and you get some designs developed, and the people say, well, we like this one, you don't like that one, can you make this more, this, really working, and collaboration, which is really just to work together. And it's really important that people understand where we are. So, because sometimes people say, well, you didn't ask me. Well, we're just communicating. This isn't something, because there are people who actually do think we maybe should ask them if we're to fill the potholes in the street, but we go back and forth. So I think sometimes what happens is we get upset, we get community upset because people aren't clear about what step we're in. Also, our staff, we weren't always ourselves clear about what level of engagement we should have. So we're putting in a structure, so before a project even happens, they're going to work out the communication plan and which level should be involved, and that'll get reviewed. And on particularly important large programs, they'll probably come to the board, and we may even discuss and say, wait a minute, now, I think you need to involve people a little more here. Or, yeah, no, that looks good, and it'll be out there for people to know about. And then finally, we've got these little design kind of logos that represent each of these 4 steps, and we're going to see about trying to put those like on all of our, if you go to a meeting and there's an agenda, it's going to tell you what level this is. So, this is where we're really just informing you and we want some information back, but we're not deciding on design, just to make it really clear about what it is we're doing. And then finally, not only the communications plan, but somewhat being clear about what is everybody's role. Sometimes we have groups that get together and they do a lot of work, which we really appreciate, and they will come to the board and advise the board. And often they feel if they all think it should go one way, well, the board, of course, is going to do what they decided. But of course, the board brings in other information. Sure. A key one sometimes is money. Sometimes the community comes up, this is our favorite, this is absolutely what we need to do, but it costs too much. So then it's our job to figure out what's the next, to filter through and get back, and people will go, but we decided, and that is, no, not quite. So anyway, and I think it will continue to, I said it was going to be bumpy for a while. I think we will work on clarifying it and work it actually for ourselves too. But it will, I think, structure the conversation in a very healthy way. So we'll be clear about what exactly it is we're discussing and what it is we're not discussing. Okay. Because sometimes people start arguing, they're arguing 2 different subjects. People get really passionate and yelling at each other, and they're talking about one thing and they're talking about something else. And it's bad enough when we all know what we're talking about and talking about the same thing. Puts everybody
singing from the same sheet of music.
Exactly. And the harmonies might not be perfect, but so I think it's a big step. I think it's a big step. We started out talking about the amount of community engagement in this community, and I've often said it's our greatest strength. And it can be our greatest weakness if we don't use it well. And this is a way of just helping everybody use it well and make it really be productive.